In the Luna 2 version, we learn more about Arlecchino's background, and we also realize that she isn't as frightening as she looks. Not only does she genuinely treat Columbina and Sandrone as friends, she is also incredibly gentle toward the children she has taken in. But can you imagine it? Arlecchino actually grew up in an extremely cruel environment. Although Genshin Impact is a game rated 12, Teyvat itself is far from a wholesome world, especially for children who have no power to protect themselves. Imagine a child growing up surrounded by chaos, hunger, illness, deception, and betrayal. And on top of that, they must fight their own companions while being hunted down. What kind of future would that child have? Sadly, Arlecchino is exactly one such child. About 20 years ago, Peruere, a girl who had inherited the power of the Crimson Moon, wandered into the territory of Fontaine. She was taken in by the Fatui orphanage, House of the Hearth. Her unusual bloodline caught the attention of the former Knave, who intended to invest in her. What kind of bloodline could intrigue a Fatui harbinger? In truth, Peruere is a Kenrion, and not just that, she's a descendant of the Crimson Moon dynasty, an earlier dynasty of Kenrion. 500 years ago, the rulers and people of the Eclipse dynasty came into contact with the power of the Abyss. They were eventually consumed by it, and the nation was destroyed and cursed by heavenly principles, turning all of its normal citizens into monsters, while the pure-blooded royals would suffer erosion over the long years. But the remnants of the long-overthrown Crimson Moon dynasty seemed unaffected by this curse. They worshipped the power of the Crimson Moon, which is the shattered iridescent moon that survived by using Abyss power. Peruere's ancestors were survivors spared long ago by the Rocker of Salnari, Rerir, and his fiancée. They not only escaped the Eclipse dynasty's purge, but also fled Kenria carrying a fragment of the Crimson Moon, passing down its powers to their descendants. This was precisely why the former Knave took interest in Peruere. At that time, the House of the Hearth was a brutal intelligence institution where every orphan was expendable. The children were raised to gather intelligence for the Fatui, to carry out assassinations, or even to be traded to other harbingers, such as Dottore, for human experimentation. In such a place, Peruere spent her entire childhood. Yet it was also there that she found a rare, bright-spirited friend, Clervie. This cheerful girl meant a great deal to Peruere, and could even be said to have changed her life. According to the book Parent Harry, to obtain the power of the Crimson Moon, one had to undergo a terrifying ritual. In this ritual, a child was forced to crawl alone through a dark corridor, while grown-ups repeatedly asked, "Are you dead?" Little by little, the child would lose their sense of self and ultimately acknowledge their own death. Perhaps the remnants of the Crimson Moon dynasty used this ritual to control the children who gained its power. But it caused those children to become cold, silent, and hollow like walking corpses. Clervie's presence gradually changed Peruere. They shared food, snacks, experiences, and stories. Clervie helped Peruere integrate into the group of children, and even made a promise with her to one day visit Snezhnaya together to see the beautiful Aurora. Because of her, Peruere's otherwise brutal childhood gained a hint of color. But good times never last long. After all, the House of the Hearth's training forced children to kill one another. Only the strongest and most merciless killer could survive and become the ruler of the house. Unsurprisingly, Peruere survived until the end, and the one she faced in the final duel was Clervie. Actually, Clervie was the biological daughter of the Knave herself. But the House of the Hearth existed to cultivate the most ruthless killers. The Knave of that generation was not only a formidable instructor, but also a cold-blooded mother. Thus, when Clervie fell beneath Peruere's blade, she felt no sorrow for her daughter's death, only joy at Peruere's victory. Peruere had already killed all her peers in the House of the Hearth and had long become completely numb. But after losing her closest friend, it was only when she held Clervie's body in her arms that Peruere finally felt an overwhelming emotion, rage. This emotion caused the Crimson Moon blood within her to burn fiercer than ever. Yet the years of training had also made her mind extremely calm, for she knew well that she was still no match for the Knave. Years later, Peruere, now the top assassin of the House of the Hearth, completed yet another mission. But this time, when she faced the mother, the Fatui harbinger Knave, she did not lower the sword in her hand. That night, the flames of two realms engulfed the courtyard of the House of the Hearth. No one could have predicted that a harbinger would meet such a miserable end, killed by her own student, without even a corpse left behind. Without a doubt, this was a revenge Peruere had planned for a very long time. And one must admit, the former Knave had indeed taught her student, also her daughter, exceptionally well. The situation was quickly brought under control. The perpetrator, Peruere, had no intention of resisting, and the damage caused by the assassination of a harbinger was minimized. Peruere then was escorted to Snezhnaya, setting foot for the first time on this unfamiliar snowy land. And for the first time, she saw the beautiful aurora of Snezhnaya that she and Clervie had once promised to witness together. She thought she would meet her end here, but instead, what awaited her was a new beginning. The benevolent Tsaritsa pardoned her crimes and bestowed upon her the cursed title, the Knave. Since, as a remnant of the Crimson Moon dynasty, Peruere had nowhere else to go, and the jester, the Fatui's director, recognized her value. Therefore, Arlecchino became her new name, and the House of the Hearth had to welcome a new master. Another mother that covers up her brutal deeds with smiles? No, Arlecchino's personality was ill-suited for such a role. In fact, even to this day, she is still trying her best to be a proper guardian. For her, being a parent is far harder than being an assassin. She had just fought and killed an excellent assassin, but she had never seen a single excellent parent in her entire life. So she thought to herself, if the former Knave was the worst kind of parent, then she could simply do the opposite. The former Knave treated orphans as disposable tools, so she would treat every child as her own. The former Knave hid her true intentions behind a fake smile, so she would hide her love and care under cold truths. The former Knave claimed to be a mother, deceiving the children with fake kindness, so she would be a strict father, protecting her children with a cold face. Perhaps this was the true wish of Arlecchino, the girl who had been born with nothing. Because she had grown up in a cruel world with poverty and deception, she vowed to provide her children with a new world where they can grow up healthy and safe.